Welcome to Growth Mindset Success, where your journey to personal excellence begins. Here, we unlock powerful ideas and timeless wisdom from the world's most influential books on success, mindset, and motivation. In a fast-paced world, you need guidance that inspires and equips you to act, improve, and rise. That's what we deliver. No fluff, just value. Whether you're an entrepreneur, dreamer, or seeker of clarity and purpose, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and get ready to grow. If you find value, don't forget to subscribe for weekly book summaries that unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Introduction to the book. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles is more than just a book. It's a manual for creating wealth with certainty. Written in 1910, this short but powerful work has inspired countless thinkers, entrepreneurs, and even modern bestsellers like The Secret. Wattles argues that riches are not about chance, talent, or environment, but about understanding and applying universal laws of success. His message is clear. There is a science to wealth, and anyone who follows it can prosper. This book combines practical advice with spiritual principles, teaching us that the desire for wealth is not selfish, but a natural part of life's purpose. By mastering thought, gratitude, and action, Wattles says we can not only become rich, but also uplift everyone around us. The right to be rich. Wattles begins with a bold claim. Being rich is not just a desire, it's a duty. Why? Because without money, we cannot fully develop our mind, body, or soul. Poverty limits growth. Riches allow us to explore, learn, create, and help others. So, the desire for wealth is not greed. It's a natural, God-given right. But Wattles goes even further. He explains that life itself is meant for advancement. Every man and woman has an inalienable right to reach the fullest development of their mind, body, and soul. To live fully, we must have access to good food, clothing, shelter, books, travel, art, beauty, and rest. Without wealth, these things are out of reach, and life becomes limited. That's why being satisfied with little, if you are capable of more, is actually against the purpose of nature. He also stresses that there is nothing noble about poverty. In fact, to be content with less than you can use is sinful because it prevents you from expressing your full potential. Every person naturally feels the desire to become all that they are capable of becoming, and this desire can only be fulfilled through the use of material things. Since society requires money to access those things, wealth becomes essential to growth. Finally, Wattles points out that we live for three purposes: the body, the mind, and the soul. None of these is holier than the other, and none can live fully if the others are cut short. Poverty starves the body, limits the mind, and stifles the soul. But riches allow all three to flourish. True happiness, he says, comes when we can provide for ourselves and give freely to those we love. For this reason, studying and applying the science of getting rich is not just practical. It is the noblest duty we owe to ourselves, to God, and to humanity. The science of getting rich. Getting rich isn't about luck, environment, or talent. Wattles insists that there's a certain way of doing things that guarantees wealth, just like a formula in math. People in the same job, same city, same background can end up with totally different results because one follows this certain way while the other does not. He explains that wealth is not determined by where you live or who you know. In the same neighborhood, one person becomes wealthy while another stays poor, proving that environment is not the key. Nor is it talent. History is filled with people of great ability who remain broke, while ordinary men and women grow rich. Even thrift or saving money is not the answer, for many frugal people stay in poverty, while spenders often find wealth. The truth is simple. Doing things in a certain way produces riches with mathematical certainty. This certain way, Wattles emphasizes, is not reserved for the few. Anyone who has the ability to think, believe, and act can follow it. You don't need exceptional intelligence or special gifts. Rich people are, for the most part, ordinary in ability, but they have learned to apply this science. It is a universal law, like gravity. When you align with it, results are guaranteed. As Wattles says, if anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. The key is to stop blaming circumstances and learn the principles that govern wealth. Is opportunity monopolized? Some people think the rich control all the chances, leaving little for others. But Wattles disagrees. Opportunity is everywhere. The supply of wealth is limitless. New industries, new ideas, new resources keep appearing. Wealth isn't taken from others, it is created. This means nobody is poor because there isn't enough. There's always enough for all. Wattles points out that while some industries may seem dominated, like railroads or steel, there are always new fields opening. At his time, he mentioned electric railways and even the coming of air transportation as examples of fresh opportunities. Today, we can see the same principle in technology, digital businesses, and renewable energy. The key is to move with the tide of opportunity rather than fight against it. If one area seems closed, countless others remain wide open for those who act in the certain way. He also explains that no one is poor because nature has run out of resources. In fact, the universe is made of an infinite, formless substance that is constantly creating more. Food, materials, wealth, all exist in abundance. Poverty exists not because opportunity is monopolized, but because people fail to think and act in harmony with the laws of wealth. Even entire groups of workers could rise by learning this science, but each individual can also rise, regardless of their class. As Wattles says, the law of wealth is the same for all, and those who apply it will prosper. The first principle. Here's the core idea. Thought is the power that creates wealth. Everything begins in the mind. The universe itself is formed from a thinking substance, and what we think about, when held with faith, becomes reality. To get rich, you must think in a certain way, holding thoughts of abundance, not poverty. Wattles explains that this formless substance takes the shape of whatever thought is impressed upon it. A thought of form produces form, and a thought of motion produces motion. This is the way everything in the natural world has been created. Man, as a thinking center, can cooperate with this universal substance by holding images of what he wants and impressing them upon it. Just as a house or invention must first exist in thought before it becomes physical, wealth begins in the same way, with a clear and definite mental picture. But Wattles warns, thinking according to appearances is dangerous. Looking at poverty and dwelling on it creates more poverty. Looking at disease creates more disease. Instead, we must hold to the truth of abundance, even when the outer world shows lack. To think truth regardless of appearances requires effort, but it is the work of a mastermind. Once we grasp that thought creates reality, and that we can impress our vision upon the universal substance, doubt disappears. With sustained thought, faith, and gratitude, we can create whatever we desire. Increasing life. The desire for riches is the desire for a fuller life. Life itself always seeks to expand. Plants grow, knowledge grows, and so must we. God, or the universal substance, wants you to live more, to express more. Therefore, seeking wealth is in harmony with divine intention. But remember, true wealth is about creating, not competing. Wattles explains that every living thing is driven by the urge to increase. A seed grows into a tree, one idea leads to another, and knowledge constantly expands. In the same way, every desire for more is life itself seeking fuller expression. The power within us that makes us want more money is the same power that makes a flower bloom or a child learn. It is life becoming more. When we seek riches, it is not greed. It is the universe expanding through us. He also makes it clear that God wants us to be rich, because through wealth he can express himself more completely in our lives. Poverty, on the other hand, restricts the body, the mind, and the soul. The purpose of life is not sacrifice, but expansion. Health, beauty, love, and joy in abundance. Wealth allows us to give more, serve more, and live more fully. That is why Wattles insists we must rise above competition, never taking from others, but creating more for all. True riches come when we act as co-creators with the universe, adding life wherever we go. How riches come to you. Wealth doesn't mean taking unfairly from others. It comes when we provide more in value than we take in money. Always give more use value than the cash value you receive. That's how business and life grow. The things we desire come to us through channels, people, opportunities, and ideas, guided by the power of thought and faith. Wattles explains that every transaction must add to life. If you sell something, it should give the other person more benefit in use than what they paid for it in cash. For example, the knowledge in a book may be worth far more than the paper it's printed on. By living in this creative spirit, you never exploit others, and every business relationship becomes a ladder by which both sides advance. This is the creative plane, far higher than competition or sharp bargaining. He also emphasizes that riches do not appear out of thin air, but they come through natural channels set in motion by thought and faith. The universal substance works through people, opportunities, and circumstances, guiding them toward you. What you desire is drawn to you in a way that also benefits others, for God and nature do not give to one by taking from another. When you hold your vision, act with faith, and deliver value, riches flow to you as surely as water flows downhill. Gratitude. Gratitude is essential. Being thankful connects us with the source of all wealth. A grateful mind focuses on abundance, not limitation, and this attracts more abundance. Without gratitude, doubt and negativity creep in, breaking the flow of creation. Gratitude is the magnetic force that keeps us aligned with wealth. Wattles explains that the more grateful we are, the closer we come to the source of supply. Gratitude keeps our minds fixed on the truth that the universe is abundant and always giving. When we express thankfulness for what we already have, we become magnets for more. The thankful mind expects good things, and expectation draws them closer. On the other hand, the ungrateful mind tends to dwell on lack, which only creates more lack. He also warns that without gratitude, faith and purpose weaken. Gratitude protects us from falling back into doubt, fear, and competitive thinking. It keeps us calm when appearances suggest failure, because we know the universe is still working in our favor. By practicing daily gratitude, we build an unshakable belief that riches are flowing to us. This belief, held with thankfulness, strengthens our connection with God and ensures that what we ask for will be delivered in due time. Thinking in the certain way. It's not enough to want riches vaguely. You need a clear, definite vision. Know exactly what you want. Picture it in detail, live it in your mind, and believe it is already yours. Combine this vision with unwavering faith and gratitude, and the universe begins shaping it into reality. Wattles stresses that you must form a mental picture of what you want and hold that picture steadily. The clearer and more definite your vision, the stronger the impression you make on the formless substance. Do not spend time daydreaming or changing your mind, but decide firmly on what you desire. Then carry that picture with faith, knowing that what you hold in thought is already moving toward you. Just as an architect builds from a plan, the universe builds from your mental image. He also explains that this vision must not be clouded by doubt or fear. If you hold a picture one day and then lose faith the next, you break the creative process. Instead, live as if your desire were already fulfilled. Feel the joy, gratitude, and confidence of having it now. By doing this, you send a continuous signal to the universe, and the things you seek begin to flow to you through people, opportunities, and circumstances. With steady vision, faith, and gratitude, Wattles assures nothing can stop your progress toward riches. Transition. That's the foundation. Wattles has shown us that wealth is not a matter of luck, privilege, or chance. It is a science built on thought, gratitude, and a clear vision of what we want. These are the mental laws that set the stage for riches to flow. But knowing is only half the journey. Wattles makes it clear that we must not stop at vision and gratitude alone. We need to learn how to direct our will, how to act with purpose, and how to do each day's work in the most efficient way. It is through these practical steps that thought becomes reality. So as we close this first part, remember, wealth begins in the mind, but it takes shape in action. In the next part, we'll explore Wattles' step-by-step instructions for applying your will, taking purposeful action, and creating lasting success, the very path that transforms vision into riches.